ମୁଁ କେମିତି ଜାଣିବି କ'ଣ ଏମା ଯାଇ ନେଇ ଆସେନି ରାସ୍ତାର
that images folder. If it is outside the images folder, if your HTML is in docs folder, suppose you maintain a separate folder, some docs, and your HTML file is inside that folder, then generally, as per the rules of general directories, you have to come out of the current folder, then you have to use .. So src must be .. means come out of the current directory and go to images. In that you have to apply shoe.jpg. If your HTML file is present in separate folder, images are present in separate folder, you have to do this. That means you have to come out of the current folder and you have to go into images folder. Then you have to use this .. Understood? Right. So then the path will be there. These all paths later we will work when we learn about images. Images is not the point here. So even you are unable to put an image, it doesn't matter at this level because our concept is not working with images. Just our concept is understanding this layout, right? Initially we will concentrate on that. How to keep images, how to write the paths that we will learn when learning about images. So if you maintained the files in the same way that I have maintained here, then you can write the same path. Otherwise you cannot write the same path. You have to use the path according to your folders. So one important thing I will show here, generally, how do we write the path? Suppose you are creating project, so everyone need to concentrate on that. Your project folder is there. Your project folder is present, right? So in the project folder, so this is project folder. In the project folder, suppose we have some my files, that is this is one folder. In this folder, so actually we have some home.html, and outside it technically, so this is another folder. So this is another folder. So this is another folder, images. In images, so we have an image called some pic.jpg something. Now generally here, if your project is present, this is project folder, your HTML is present in this folder, images are present in another folder. So if both are present in same folder, then you can directly write the path. Otherwise what you have to do, when you are writing the path, so we have an image. When you are writing the path, so when you are writing the path here, so source, image source, we have to come out of the current directory, dot slash and images slash pic.jpg. So that means you have to come out of the current folder, and use the image in this folder. To come out of the current folder, you have to use dot slash. This is the basic rule. Generally you have to use, you have to follow every time when you are defining the path. So roughly I'm just giving that sample path how you can configure, right? So that is the sample path, means how generally we write the path and define the path, right? So if it is in the same folder, then folder name is enough. If it is in a different folder, you have to come out of the folder and use the files. So next important, one more option is, so in the semantics, one more important semantics is, so main content in page. One more option is main content in page. Actually, HTML provides main element. It provides main element. So which is used to define the main content of your website. Main content of website. That means it have more priority than article. It have more priority than article. That means in search engine SEO, search engine optimization, that has more priority. So in search engine optimization, generally when you are using content to display, actually I told you we can have a header, we can have section, aside, article, and actually, so article just is for good for notifications and some content. But if you want to display the main content of your page inside the section, you can use main tag. You can use this main element. So this is the main content of our page. Article will be given less priority than main. This is your main information. So then search engines can first read this main content and identify your content. So that means they will give first priority to this main content, then to the articles and aside options. So if you want to highlight about anything about your website, so and it is major context to highlight and show, then you have to define in main. Main is used for that purpose. Article is for just notifications. Few notifications you can define through article. So but the main content is very important. So when you have to define your information, so you can keep your main content in the page here. Just it is also a container, but it gives more priority for your content. So when compared to the article, so the main content you can keep in this location. And especially I told you, when you want to make your pages SEO friendly, you need to know about this. So these are the important semantics of page, HTML page. So for HTML page, we learned so many options. In the body section, we learned about aside, article, dialogue, figure caption, header, footer, section, navigation, menu, div, and span. And one more important option is the main content, how you can configure the main content in the page. So these are designing the layout for designing the layout, configuring the layout. These are important. After understanding that, now in the presentation, HTML presentation, you need to know about the basic. So HTML literals. You have to know about the basic HTML literals. Actually, literals, HTML basic literals, and elements. The HTML basic literals and elements first. Literals and elements. Actually, what are the basic elements and literals that you need in HTML? So the important basic elements. So why we need them? Actually, one of the main problem you will face in HTML is HTML cannot present the content exactly how it is defined, in editor. Cannot present the content exactly how it is defined in editor. Generally, HTML cannot present the contents exactly how it is defined in the editor. That means what happens is, actually browser ignores line breaks. So blanks, additional blank spaces, and tabs, while while presenting HTML contents. So that means browser usually ignores line breaks, additional blank space, and tabs while presenting HTML contents. So it cannot present exactly how you have defined in editor. So in that case, HTML have to use literals and basic elements to keep the presentation as expected. So presentation as expected. To keep the presentation as expected, HTML have to use literal and basic elements. So what are these points? So we will see that what are those elements or literals we have to use. So I will create a new file. Let's keep that outside. Okay. So basic elements .html. I am creating a new file, and here we are designing. So doc type HTML head and title and basic elements. Okay. Here we in the body section. So we are defining some content. Suppose hello and welcome to HTML. Okay. And this is our HTML document. That is some details we define. Now you can observe that. So in the editor, now the body contains 3 lines information. When you go into the presentation, you can see that this all will be displayed in one line. One line. That means it is unable to present the information exactly how you defined in editor. So it will ignore the line breaks. It will ignore the blank spaces, means additional blank spaces. Actually, HTML will allow 1 character space between words and between characters. That means, for example, we have HTML. 1 character space I am giving between HTML. then you can see that one character space came. But I given some 2 characters, 3 characters, 4 character space between every term, 4 character space, and save this and refresh. It's not changed. It's not affected. That means 1 character space between characters and words, it is allowed, but additional space not allowed. It will ignore these additional spaces. It will ignore the line breaks. Then in order to present it, so we need some basic elements. What are the HTML basic elements for keeping the presentation exactly how we are expecting it? For that, we need literal and element. What are the basic literals and elements we need? So here, the basic elements and literals you need the elements like BR. So this BR, it defines a manual line break. It defines a manual line break. It configures a manual line break. So it creates a manual line break. That means it defines a line break. That is the manual line break. So that means wherever you want, you can, suppose after hello, I want a break, then BR, it is a break. And after welcome to HTML, BR, it will put a line break, right? Now I will save this. Here you can see now these 3 are 3 lines. You can break the line anywhere. It doesn't mean that you have to break the line at the end. Suppose this is after our BR, it will break the line there. And the rest of the content will come to next line. It will display to the next line. You can break anywhere. Now here, one regular question comes is many times. So generally in interviews or sometimes say anybody who know little bit HTML, they ask in regular questions. So as FAQ, one important question is, so what is difference between BR, so BR slash and slash BR? That is the regular question comes actually. So this is one question regularly comes in interviews. What is difference between these? Actually, so technically, so no difference. So there is no difference. First point is BR is official and valid. So BR slash, this is for few editors that cannot understand HTML. They cannot understand HTML. For example, actually, the point is, I am using a editor called Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code, Edit Plus, Eclipse, Java people, .NET people, Python people use different editors. Now the question is, are all these editors recommended or built by the people? Actually, are these editors built by the people who built HTML? The answer is no. That means worldwide we are using editors which doesn't belong to HTML at all. That means they were never designed for HTML, but we are using. Means HTML have never mentioned about them. That means HTML people who developed HTML, they don't have an editor officially. Then we have our own editors. Then one problem is our editors which are not native to HTML, they cannot understand complete HTML actually, because HTML is every day growing, some new things will come. These editors can't understand your complete HTML 100%. They can't understand. That is the reason. So in HTML, even if you face any problem, errors, you cannot identify where the error is. You have to manually check everywhere. Line by line, you have to check. There is nothing, not like other programming languages. It shows errors and you go to that line number and correct the error. It will give you some debugging, that means intelligence, like while typing, it will finish by itself. But due to that, what happens is some browsers, if I write BR, they don't know that BR is a void element. Void element means they doesn't require end tag. Some editors don't know that these doesn't require end tag. Then immediately they put a warning. They will put a warning saying that uh, are you missing end tag? Then in that case, we have to tell the editor that I am not any end tag. It is a self-ending element. That means we have to tell that it is self-ending element. How you tell that it is self-ending element? You have to use br slash. This indicates that it is self-ending element. That means it indicates that it indicates that it is an void element. Void element. That means self-ending element. Self-ending element. It is a void element. That means it is a self-ending element. It is a void element. That means it is a self-ending element. That is what actually. So few editors that cannot understand HTML. So the few editors which cannot understand HTML. That means they which cannot understand HTML. They show an error, a warning. They show a warning they show a warning for void elements. They show a warning for void elements. So what slash? That means br slash. So br slash indicates that it is a void element. That means it is a self-ending element. So if anyone asks, so which one we have to write? Always BR only. That is official. This is just developers are writing in this way to satisfy. This is to satisfy the editor and to tell the editor that don't show a warning. This is a self-ending element. That is only the reason. There is no difference at all, right? So another point is, so people sometimes ask about slash br. This is completely invalid. Not recommended. That means never use this. This is not correct. That means you are directly ending an element without any starting element. This is completely bad coding. Actually, this also works. But it is bad coding. Why it will work? Because so browsers will allow, if they see br in a tag, whether it is self-ending or void or anywhere, they will allow br. But I told you that browser issues are there, compatibility issues are there. Due to that, we will always recommend to write only br. Others are time waste, right? They are completely not recommended at all. Even it shows warning, it doesn't matter for developers. We don't prefer writing slash br. So if I say slash br, that also will work. You can see that. So currently it is also working. But it is never recommended. We don't recommend. Your editors here, they don't show any problem. So when you are running this, when you are working with this, they don't show any problem, right? But so you should not use this slash br. So that is completely invalid, because already I told you there is no official editor. You can see finally all are converted into BR only. All are converted into BR only. You see BR, everything converted into BR only. Actually we are writing BR slash BR. Finally it converts everything into BR only. So it is never recommended to use any others. It is simply wasting the time of compiler, because compiler anyhow finally going to compile in this point only. So it will be translating that to BR only. So always recommended to use only BR. But if anyone asks why BR slash, then you can say that to tell that it is self-ending element. And slash BR, that is invalid. It is not recommended at all, right? So this is the frequent point here. First point is how we can put the line breaks. And ampersand NBSP semicolon. So it is used for blank space. So it is used for blank space. For one blank space, it is used for one blank space. For every blank space, you have to write ampersand NBSP. That means it refers to non-breakable space. NBSP means it refers to non-breakable space. It technically refers to the non-breakable space. NBSP means. So the point here is currently up to one character space it is allowing. Suppose I will remove here, welcome to HTML. I am removing here. And you can see between HTML, there is no space. So there is no space HTML. One character space I am giving. So it will take that one character space. One character space is coming. I want one more character space. Then I will give one more space here and save. And it is not working. It is using only one character space. I will do one thing now. So one character space already there. For additional character spaces, one character space is already working. For additional character spaces, I will use ampersand NBSP semicolon. I want two spaces, ampersand NBSP semicolon. So this is an entity. I will copy that and I will use the same here. That means totally now three spaces will be there between characters, because one space is already allowed by HTML. Other two you added manually. Now you can see some space is there. 1, 2 and 3 spaces. That is the space allowed here. Of course, with CSS and styles, we can apply the spaces between words and characters. But we should know that. So whenever we want an empty content to display, blank, then you have to represent by using ampersand NBS. So that is the blank spaces, how we can configure the blank spaces. So we have line breaks, BR, and we have blank spaces, ampersand NBSP. Now with line breaks and blank spaces, we cannot present everything actually. With line breaks and blank spaces, we cannot present everything. So technically we cannot present everything manually. So that is one another problem that you have to regularly face. Why? Because so how many line breaks and how many paragraphs you will give, it will be very complex. Technically it will be very complex, right? That is the reason what we can do now here is when we are working with, when we are configuring with general contents in the page. Suppose what is the problem? So we will see what is the problem here. So the problem is here we are configuring the options in this way. Suppose I am writing here a simple option like I am defining. So a div. In that we say sample C program. Okay. And below that I am using another division. In this division, I am writing hash include std std io.h, like this I define. And here I am writing main, and here I am writing printf. So welcome to HTML. I am not writing a C program. I am just printing it here. That means that is tutorial. Some online tutorials are there. Usually online tutorials, then we have to just print some content here. That's it. We need to configure and print some content here. So I am doing that. I am configuring and printing some content here. Then what is the problem is generally what you will face here is technically. When you are printing this and we are defining this, a lot of line breaks, and you see here, this is written in angle brace, then HTML thinks that technically HTML thinks that it is a tag, but actually it is not a tag. Actually it is not a tag. So you need to say that no, this is not a tag. So you have to keep your content. So it is not a tag. So you have to keep this printed. But unfortunately, a lot of line breaks are there. Then you can see the output. When you look at the output, you can observe here in the output. So in the output, you can see, I will show here. When you see the output, it will display everything in one line. So this is one division. This is another division, everything in one line. So that means in order to present this correctly, how we want it, so then we need to define. That means we need to configure. So how we can configure? Suppose you cannot write BR after every line BR, after every line BR. That is too much complication. Then what we can do is, if you have such contents, so sub contents to display, then you can use another option, that is you can use pre. Actually this pre, it is pre-formatted content. It is pre-formatted content. Pre-formatted content is nothing but it can present the content exactly with the same formats how you defined in editor, same formats. So that means here formats, so it will not actually affect the formats like tags and other, right? It can affect only the formats like spaces, alignments. It can affect only them. That means it affects only spaces, line breaks, and alignments. That means it is related to only formats, not other things. That means now you can see here, when you are presenting that content, when you are displaying that content, you can see now, I will save this. You can see here, I will keep this div in a pre-tag, all the content in a pre-tag. That means in a pre-formatted tag. In that case, it can present the information exactly how you define. Of course, its font style will be changed, its margin will be changed, but format is same. So font style and margins you can keep later. We can adjust that later, not with styles. But placement is correctly as we written. But stdio.h is missing. You may say that you said that it will print exact. I said that it will print exactly the formats, not all the literals. That means this is missing because it thinks like it is a tag. but actually it is not a tag. It is just angle brace, less than symbol, greater than symbol. We have to write. Then what you can do is, so you need to remove this because it thinks that they are just tags, but actually that is not a tag. Okay, here we can put the symbols manually. Ampersand LT, this is less than symbol, and ampersand GT, and this is greater than symbol. You can see less than and greater than symbol will come. This is the right way for presenting pre-formatted text. Pre-formatted text. So that means if it is defined, then we can configure by using pre-formatted text. So initially it can represent that generally. This is pre-format. That means it can present with the same formats. This will keep the alignments and everything correctly for that. How you defined them, you can see that it is going to present in that way. You don't need to write line breaks, spaces. How you define the breaks and spaces. Suppose I am moving this like this, and you can see it will print correctly. This is how we can manage the presentation of complex things. If many complex things are there, then we can present in this way. For that, we have to use a pre-formatted text. So this is example. That means how we can use blank spaces, line breaks. So example for line break is nothing but, suppose in the body section, we are configuring hello. So hello and BR, that is line break. So, and welcome to HTML. So BR slash, we can write like this also. And close body, that is example. And for NBSP, non-breakable space, so I written some H and space, ampersand NBSP semicolon. And I have to use this ampersand NBSP semicolon again, HT, and again two spaces, M, again two spaces, and L, like this. We are presenting the content in this. We are configuring and presenting the content in this. So this is for presentation. This is for the presentation of spaces. This is an example for space. And this is an example for line breaks. And this is an example for pre-formatted. Example for pre-formatted. And this is example just in the body section. So what the code I written. Rest of page design every day you can design by yourself. This is the content. Now you have some more elements to present the body contents in a better way. Actually, instead of using pre is good for writing pre-formatted contents. Some coding. Then usually if you are writing and defining some coding, and these days actually we have online code editors. You have online code editors. You can have online code editors. You can write code online in a web page, and we can process and compile and print the output. Online compilers are there. Page compilers are there for different languages actually. Now for that reason, generally we have a new element which can tell the browser that it is not just a pre-formatted text, it is a code content. So that later whenever we integrate the code elements, so then it can read it as a code and compile as a code, but not now. When you integrate with those plugins, so then we can use another option called code. We can use another option code. In code, I can keep this content. Code also looks same like pre-formatted text here. I will put in the code and you can see it is displaying like this. But it is not pre-formatted text. That means not alignments and indentation. Font style changed. To keep the alignment in the same way, then we have to keep this in pre. In pre, I am writing the code and defining it, then it will display. Now, why you used additionally this code actually? Additionally, this code indicates the browser that this part of the content so is targeting towards some programming language. So later, if search engines or any integrated tools have to identify the programs in the page, then this is easy for them to identify. For that, they introduced this new code element, but it will not work now. We have to integrate the code, online coding templates into our website. Then those templates can identify the code that you have written in this area. So this is newly introduced into HTML to present the code contents if you are presenting any code element, right? So we have a new code element. So we have a new code element for presenting the code. So we have code, another element. It is used to present snippet, code snippet in a page, code snippet in a page. So snippet means a block of code actually. So block of code is called code snippet. So it is used to present a code snippet in page so that code compiler plugins can identify so it as some programming code and later programming code and later allow to process using integrated so playgrounds. Actually, integrated playgrounds are this playgrounds is very important word these days for programmers. We have these playgrounds very much. That means we can open and write programs directly there. For example, suppose you have the playgrounds. Suppose JavaScript playground. So I search for JavaScript playground. You can see this is JavaScript playground. That means you don't need any Visual Studio Code or anything. You can directly write your JavaScript code. You can run that JavaScript code and see the output directly here. That means you can write your programs. You can directly create a project online. So you can create a new file, you can compile it, you can process it. These are very important. In that case, generally whatever you write, this is index.html, this is CSS, this is scripts, right? Now, whatever you write, it should be identified by the browser as code that will help in this type of playground environments actually. So in that case, generally what we have to do is we need to write the code in such a way that it identifies it as code and it can handle it. So that is the reason. So we have to use this code templates here. We have to use that code options here to manage them. So that is just for future when you are integrating with code templates and working with code templates, you can try this. That means you have to keep in pre-tag, you can use this code and we can define the code. That is for code. So along with pre-formatted, we have another option called code, how we can configure and define the code. Next important, one more option. So we have line breaks, we have blank spaces, we have pre-formatted, we have code template. Another option newly introduced into HTML is we have a var option. Var. It is used to define a variable. Define a variable in code snippet. It is used to define a variable in code snippet. So in the code snippets, to define variables, it is used to define a variable in the code snippet. So to define variables, we need this. We need to configure and we need to specify this. So that is very important for that, right? So how you can configure and use the code snippets. For example, you can see that means variables, especially for presenting variables. Suppose I am writing some coding. So this is also for SEO and the coding templates actually. Suppose we have a div, and here we are writing, so var x, so plus, so var, so we are writing again var y, so y, x plus y is equal to some 10, something like this I am defining. Now you can see that in the presentation, the variables in the presentation, they will have a different appearance here. Means font style will be changed. Font style will be changed. So technically, this is a technique of writing the variables. But as of now, you are just dealing with HTML. It doesn't make any much sense. Only presentation you are doing. So they will be used in JavaScript. They will be used in coding plugins. So later for dealing with the contents and specifying the contents actually. So that is actually another option. Var is also available in the new versions, because these days online coding and programming is growing very much. So that is the reason. So these type of new elements are very much required to make the browsers easily understand and use such coding plugins, especially when online they are processing some content. So that is the reason. So we have this new element, right? That is defined with var. You can configure that by using var. This is another option, var. So we have another important option. Another important option is we can use a sample. That means it is used. It is used to configure sample text in page, actually it is mostly for specifying specifying comment content in coding plugins, coding plugins. So especially when you are using coding plugin to display comment like content, we have this sample actually. Sample is also a new element. So we have this sample to present the contents and define the contents. That means what we can do is, so here, so suppose, so we have to write a comment. Here we have a div. And in the div, we are writing a so program. That means we have a pre. In the pre, we are defining so code, okay. And in the code, we are defining the option like so hash include like this, hash include, or we are declaring something like this. Suppose so var x is equal to 10. So then here we have var so y is equal to 20. So and var z is equal to var x plus var y. So these are all different types of coding templates which are very useful in future. Now when you write like this, that means it is going to present the information in this way. And here I am writing a sample. So I'm writing a sample. And this sample, so this is nothing but addition program like this. We are defining a sample. That sample will keep like a caption. So inside the program code templates, if you want to keep some captions like things, then you have to define by using sample. Some comment like 1-2 lines of information if you want to present, then you can use this. That means it is used to configure the sample text. So and that sample text will be given like a caption. That means now the code compilers will not consider this one. It will consider only this one. And it will use this one. So this is very familiar these days, and this is very common these days. So in majority of the websites, you can try this. Actually, to practice HTML, JavaScript more better online. So you can do one thing. So you can download you can download a mobile app on Android, on iPhone, a mobile app called Grasshopper. Grasshopper is a mobile app. It is officially designed by Google and it is for programmers. Any person who is learning programming like JavaScript and HTML and jQuery and all basics of coding, and Google developers so will provide you help step by step process in learning the language. Means practically online practicing. That means you can download this on your mobile, Grasshopper. So and you can start coding. If there are any problems, any errors, then it will show online. It is a good practice. They will give you some exercise, they will give you some samples. Now they will say that now write the code for achieving this, write the code for achieving that. So if you can practice in that way, then it will be more better, easy. You can easily handle so many things now, right? So technically, so that is not required. What we learning is enough, but that gives more practice. And important is such applications have to allow you to input the values, take the values, read your code, process them. That is the reason these are very much required. So you have an app called Grasshopper, Grasshopper app. So you have this Grasshopper app. This is Grasshopper. So this is official Google app. This is official Google app. That means it will teach you how we can do coding. So coding for the beginners, it is the best one. So that means you can use this. This is the app. And when you log in into this and you can start here, so you can sign in into Google account, then it will give you all the code practicing, HTML practicing, CSS practicing, JavaScript practicing. They will provide you some templates which you can do more practice. In the class we are doing, but if you can practice more templates than what we are doing, I will give you several exercises. Then more than that, if you want to practice, you can use this. This is officially supported by Google. That is the reason it will help you, right? Anywhere you can use. Currently I am using on web page only, no? Currently I am using on web page, right? I am using on web page, right? So currently I am showing you on web page. It is available as a mobile app also, right? What you are watching on screen is a web page currently. So you can sign in into your Google account, and from the Google account you can access and use it. So log in into your Google account. Through the Google account you can do that, and here they will provide all the options. So all the options. Exercise means step by step. So once you start exercising one concept after another, these contents will be unlocking, and you can learn so everything step by step, like courses, and all the information will be available. You start with this and you start coding, so as per they have designed, so as per they have given, and so then you practice that. The output will be displayed here, it will be shown here, and they will guide you. So what is the purpose of it, how to design it, how to write it, what are the options. Remember, this is directly teaching you how to apply some effects and options, but you have to integrate with HTML and design with HTML. Lot of work is there, lot of options will be there, right? Technically different topic related options will be coming here. You can see these are topics. So once you practice this along with what we are learning, then you will get more grip on the coding, right? You can use anywhere, on mobile or here, anywhere you can do that, right? So technically, so the point is how you can why we have to use this code and sample like options, because to just make them more browser friendly and tell the browser that this all belongs to some dynamic content which need to be compiled and processed actually. So these are the new options. This is the sample. So how we can use the sample. So these are all the basic elements of HTML. So what are the basic body elements of HTML? So line break, literals and basic elements actually. So that is line breaks, so spaces, pre-formatted code, variables, and sample text. Now next important here is in the body section. So we have now more options like headings in HTML. Technically, how you can present headings. Generally, headings are presented. This is one important point to remember also in interviews. They generally ask like headings. So heading element, heading HN, heading element is HN, is used to present headings in a page. So headings have predefined styles. So N refers to heading level number. So which can be 1 to 6, and headings from 1 to 6 will be in decreasing order. Decreasing order will be in decreasing order. Headings from 1 to 6 will be in decreasing order. Now very important, headings are required to make the page more SEO friendly, search engine friendly. So that headings are required to make page SEO friendly, so that SEO can identify. You can simply say that so that bots means robots can identify the topics on your page by using headings. Now in interviews, one question is asked, that is, this is the answer for that question. In interviews, the question is nothing but, generally, if I want to present any content, suppose here I am writing some content. So I am writing some content here. Suppose this is heading. So web technologies. Headings are written by using H, and 1 is level 1. In that we have heading 2. This is HTML. And here we write something about HTML. Okay. And after that, another heading is CSS. And here we write something about CSS. We are writing like this, just roughly. Usually, what happens is, you can see that it will get HTML. This is heading. This is the child headings. HTML and CSS are the subheading. Gradually, the size will decrease. Generally, the question asked in interview is, without heading, I give font, I give size as 5, and I give bold, and in that I said some JavaScript. So, or say some Java, something like this I given. So, and we configured that, and here we are writing here. So we are writing here as something about Java, and usually you can see that. So this also will have the same. I will keep a line break here, and you can see that is also having the same. After this, again line break here, that is also looking same. Now generally, if this is also looking same, then why to use headings? Now there are two answers. By your answer itself, they can know what is your level of experience. First answer, I will tell you what you are thinking. That is general answer. What you may be thinking. heading have space above and below, line spaces are there, and here you have to add BR, and heading, with one heading you can get that effect. Here you are using lot of effects. We have to write font, bold and all to get this. That is the reason we are using heading. That's it. So with that answer we can know that you are at very learning level of your technology. That means you don't know technically. If you give this answer, that means we can easily identify that you don't know about HTML. Clean, that is clear. Why? Because this is what you are talking about. That means just for space you have a separate element. That means so just for space you designed a separate element. So that doesn't make any sense actually. So then what is the reason here? Is the reason is nothing but just I given already. Headings are required to make the page more SEO friendly, so that robots can identify the topics on your page. If you write some font and make it bold, then they cannot identify it as a heading. Later in programming, you will learn, suppose temporarily, I'm writing some programming. So I'm writing some programming. So don't worry about what the programming I'm writing, just writing some programming, observe it. The concept is, in this program, I'm writing a programming, so head, H is equal to get elements by tag name, and heading, so heading 2. That means here alert, so H dot length. That means actually I am writing a program. I am writing a program to know how many headings are there in my page. And this program says that you have 2 headings on your page. It shows an alert like 2 headings on your page. But actually I have 3 headings. Actually I have 3 subheadings. We are looking for subheadings. But it is saying that you have only 2 headings. That means now technically it is gone wrong. That means it is unable to identify this as a heading. Then it will ignore this and it will not show it as a topic. For example, for user, what he see, it doesn't matter. Means what he is watching on the screen, for him it doesn't matter. You use heading tag or not, he don't care. For developer it matters. Why? Because if you don't write through heading styles, then what will happen is search engines cannot identify it as a topic and cannot suggest you as a topic. That is the reason to make SEO friendly. So to make SEO friendly, we have to use headings. This code is not required for you at this level. So this is to identify that we are using headings. That's the reason it's not recommended. It's not recommended to do so. So it is always recommended to use headings. So use headings. And heading levels 1 to 6 decrease. One more important point is, key point you need to know is never use headings. Never use headings for highlighting the contents in a sentence or paragraph. That is the first, another point, paragraph. Never use headings for highlighting the content or sentence in a paragraph. Why? Because headings have a line break, before, so before and after. That means you can say above and below, line break above and below. Don't ever use headings for highlighting. Suppose I want to highlight CSS, then don't use a heading for highlighting CSS. H3, I want to highlight CSS. That is the reason I am writing. So this, I am writing this heading. So something about CSS in HTML, something. Now you can see that automatically it will get a line break there. So that is wrong. Never use headings for highlighting any word or sentence in a paragraph. Another point, so another important point is headings is okay, but don't use lot of headings in a page. This is a basic rule. Why we should not use lot of headings a page? This can spam your page. If you are giving lot of headings in a page, then robots thinks that you are trying to highlight so many things in your page, which is not good for robots. Then they will simply spam your page. They will simply reject your page. They will not pick up your page. That means you have to keep limited number. You have to keep limited contents. So that means you cannot put hundreds, thousands of headings in a page. Robots will simply ignore that page. Don't use a lot of headings of page, right? But you have to use headings in the page. So heading levels can be defined. Syntax, how you can write the heading. So you can configure the heading. So H1, so that is heading one, and like this. So you can write up to heading 6 levels. So that is up to heading 6 levels. Gradually heading 6 levels, it will decrease. But important is you never use headings for highlighting any word or sentence. It is strictly only for headings. It is strictly only for headings. So that is one basic thing. And this is a general simple point. Concept is very simple, heading 1 to heading 6. But the point about heading, why we need headings. So what is the purpose of heading? That is important here. That is how you present the headings in a page. Once you know headings, now we have paragraphs, block quotations, and other options that we will see in next session tomorrow. And one important thing is, so tomorrow, as usual, normal. On Friday, we will have a backup session. On Friday, we will have a backup session. So Friday, we will have a backup session for the people who missed out the early topics of our class, right? And tomorrow, as usual, normal. Friday, we will have a backup session, same timing, same class timing. So Friday, we will not have regular class. Friday, we will have backup class, right? And what about Saturday, I will tell you. So tomorrow, as usual, Friday, we will have a backup session for people who missed out the first sessions, right? And tomorrow, we will continue with other options in HTML, right? Yeah. Yes, Rajeshwari, what is doubt? Have any doubt? Okay, fine. I hope you are clear with all these topics, right? No doubts. Then we will continue tomorrow. And backup will be on Friday. I will let you know about that tomorrow again, right?